Welcome to our Aging Puzzle. I'm your host, Corlette Deveaux. Our show is about aging and how it affects all of us because we age every single day. We will have one-on-one conversations with our guests from all walks of life that have been impacted by life and aging. Whether they are seniors, middle-aged, or young folks, we will bring their inspiring stories to you. We will hear heart-wrenching, tear-jerking, and uplifting stories about relevant topics, health issues, and habits to live longer and live better. Remember, we've been talking about minority mental health because July is Awareness of Minority Mental Health. This month was designated by the U.S. House of Representatives in 2008 to raise awareness of mental illness and to improve access to mental health services and treatments for minorities. Our returning guest today for the last week is Otero. His story has already brought tears to your eyes, but today is going to be a heart-wrencher like no other show. Al wants to bring visibility to the struggles of individuals dealing with mental illness. We want you to hear his story because he wants to help someone out there who needs help with mental illness. Today, you are going to hear news that is going to break your heart. Remember, our show, our Aging Puzzle, is different. Every month, there will be one guest on our show, and that guest, like Al, will be on the show for 4 consecutive weeks. We will walk you through their journey week after week. So remember, week 1, we will focus on the big reveal. How did they hear the news? We will learn all about their emotions, how they felt learning about the diagnosis. How did their family take the news? Week 2, we will focus on treatment, what options that they have. My guests will take us all through their process to select treatment for their diagnosis. And remember, week 3, we are going to focus on the treatment, the actual treatment. Was it effective? Did they have side effects? What was it like? We want to know and share everything with you. And finally, week 4, we are going to hear the outcome of treatment and what happened. How are they doing? And what are they doing differently? Join us every week to hear our guests walk you through their journey week after week. We want to make a difference, and we want to impact and share information with our guests and our viewers. Our show is sponsored by DG Incorporated. DG Incorporated is a marketing and business development agency that focuses on providing business coaching, strategic guidance, marketing, and tactical services to its clients. DG Incorporated helps clients unleash their business potential and growth. Now it's time for Aging Facts. Woohoo! Let's see what we have this week. Over 20% of adults over 60 suffer from a mental or neurological disorder. And the most common disorders are dementia and depression. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 50 million people worldwide are living with dementia, and this total number is projected to increase to 82 million in 2030 and 152 in 2050. General health and social care are important for promoting good health, preventing diseases, and managing chronic illnesses. Our topic for this month is mental health in minorities, and we want to share and bring light to help and provide hope for anyone and everyone out there who is experiencing mental health illness. Mental health helps determine how we handle our stress, how we relate to others, and how we make healthy choices in our lives. Remember, mental health issues are treatable, and they are often prevented. preventable. They can be prevented. Here are a few heartbreaking facts regarding minority mental health. In 2020, suicide was the third leading cause of death for African Americans aged 15 to 24. Very sad. And in 2019, suicide was the second leading cause of death for American, Indian, and Alaska Natives between the ages of 10 and 34. In 2019, suicide was the second leading cause of death for Hispanics ages 15 to 34. These numbers are incredibly sad and horrifying. We need to get help for minorities and anyone out there experiencing mental illness. If you or anyone you know is experiencing mental illness, please call the Suicide or Crisis Lifeline at 988 or visit their website at 988lifeline.org. Today is the last week for this topic, mental illness in minorities. And we have our returning guest, Otero, to share with you the conclusion of the devastating impact mental illness had on his family. Let's welcome again, this week, our special guest, Otero. Al is an entrepreneur and a leader in the development of operations of chambers of commerce, sales, marketing, and business development. He is the co-founder and president of the Global Trade Chamber and the 100 Successful Women in Business. Al is also an international speaker. He's a coach, he's a trainer, he's an advisor to entrepreneurs across the world, across cultures, and in many minority groups. He has served the business community for over 20 years and has served as on numerous boards, including the executive board of the Florida State Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Broward County Government Diversity Advisory Council. Al has also received several recognitions, including the Lifetime Achievement Award presented by President Joe Biden. Al has also received the Hispanic Business Leaders Award in Broward County, and he's received the Hispanic Achievers Award. Al has also received the Top Hispanic Leaders in Broward County Award. Just to name a few, he has received a lot of awards, well respected in the community, and entrepreneur and a devoted family man. His story is heartbreaking. This father of 5 has shared with us throughout the month his story. He has been sharing the story of his son David, who has been affected by mental illness and experienced those symptoms. He will conclude with us this week about how David responded to treatment and how David is doing, and his story is going to break your heart. So please join me in welcoming Otero, my guest, for the final week of this month. I have for the last week of the month, my guest, he's been here all month, Otero. I want to welcome you to the show, Al.
I thank you for inviting me again. Putting up with me for 4 weeks, that's not easy.
Oh, you've been awesome. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you sharing your story. This last week, we're going to talk with Al about the outcome of his son's treatment. Al, you shared the story of your son, David, who was diagnosed with mental illness at an early age in middle school. And he went on therapy. The therapy was for ADD. And as a result of going on the therapy for ADD, he was on it sporadically. Sometimes he took the medication, sometimes he didn't. But he also became addicted to the medication. And moved from taking the prescription medication for ADD to taking illegal drugs, and then couple that with alcoholism. Today, what I want to talk to you about, Al, and I know this is going to be difficult. Years later, I want you to tell our audience how your son is doing with his mental illness, going through that roller coaster that he's been going through since middle school. Please tell us about David and what's going on with David.
Okay, so we went through high school. He survived high school. Then he went to, as I mentioned before, technical school.
Right.
And then eventually was able to get into Broward College. And Broward College, he was able to get a bachelor's degree in communication, because he loved to write. But through this process, like you said, the roller coaster, he had a lot of challenges going back and getting into drugs again. So he kept going in and out of drugs. And then we had the problem with the Alcoholics Anonymous at this point, that we were trying to go regularly, but he did not go regularly. So he would go, and then for a couple of months he didn't go. So he went through a lot of challenges maintaining a different lifestyle to get out of where he was. So he had a lot of problems with alcohol. At the end, it wasn't so much the drugs in the last few years, but he started more into alcohol, and he was becoming an alcoholic. And then back and forth between the Alcoholics Anonymous, and he was trying to find better jobs, because it was, through all this process, he had a record. He got arrested once when he was right after high school. He got arrested. So how hard is it to get a job with a record?
Absolutely.
Almost impossible.
Yes.
Almost impossible.
Yes.
So finally he got a job, and he was trying to move out of the state because he thought that was going to change, but never did that. And then he kept going to a lot of activities with his friends, because he was in a band, a rock band, and everybody was doing drugs. So he went back again. So the last few years, he was trying to put himself more stability and more normal lifestyle, but not being able to give up the alcohol and maybe marijuana. At the end of the treatments, he was only doing marijuana, but there was a period where everything was going wrong. He broke up with his girlfriend, and then the job let him go because he wanted to work part-time. They said he can't work part-time, so he didn't have a job. He couldn't drive because he had a problem with his eyes because of all the drugs. And in fact, his seat died.
His side.
Yeah, his side. And between the breaking up with the girlfriend, he moved into an apartment, and the apartment had a problem with the plumbing. So actually, the water came into the shower from the toilet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they were having a real hard time finding out how to fix it without taking up the whole place,
Right.
and all the pipes.
Okay.
So all this came at once.
Okay.
And we talked to him, we saw him all the time, and then he made a decision that he didn't want to deal with all these things anymore. So basically, he took his life. And my wife found him hanging. My wife found him hanging in his house with a rope. And that was a disaster. So everybody couldn't believe it, because he was beginning to try and get himself together, but that was the most challenging time in everybody's life. His brothers and everything, his aunts. So just that changed the world.
I will tell you that I'm hearing Al's story for the first time, and I am shaken right now, I knew that this had happened, but I did not know how it happened. And I did not want to hear the details until we come to the show. To hear that your son took his life by hanging himself, I cannot. So sorry. I know it's difficult. And there are people out there that have gone through this. There's nothing that anyone can even say to make it better.
Something that unless you experience losing a child, you have no clue.
No.
And it's never going to go away. The feelings, you would adjust and you'll manage it better. But with time, you just learn to manage things better and focus on other things.
Al, we're talking about this now, and you're sitting here and you are physically shaken and understandably. When did this happen? And how old was David when he took his life?
He was 36.
Okay. And this was about a year?
Yeah, just past a year of his passing.
How long did he suffer and struggle and experience mental illness? You said from middle school. That was.
Yeah, the beginning of the worst started in high school. He really got into some heavy drugs. The mental illness, whatever it is, doesn't go away. But doing things like alcohol and drugs makes it 100,000 times worse because your brain starts completely dysfunctioning. Because to make a decision to take your life, there's obviously some serious mental illness going on. Because he had his whole family. It's not like if it was McGarden something, some of the people that like that.
How are his siblings? How did they handle it? And how are they doing? And how are you and your wife? How is the family doing?
Well, for many months, his two younger brothers were just devastated. Because regardless of all the problems with David, they still saw him as the big brother.
Absolutely.
And Danny, the oldest, is he said that everything that he has as a person, being strong and fighting, he got from his brother David. And the little brother said David was his best friend. So we were so worried about Matthew, the little one, because he said he's the only person that understood him completely. And they shared everything. To hear that, what we're doing is sharing my story so other families understand the process that we went through and the types of help that we tried to get. And you don't know until you have to see the signs much earlier. Because we know a lot of people that we read about something the other day, a young lady that her mother on the 9th month had no idea that the daughter was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So parents are not aware of what's going on with the kids today.
Right. Wow. You know, as parents, we try so hard to be there for our kids, and we're not perfect. But I commend all parents, family members, friends who try their best to stay in touch and in tune with their loved ones. And, you know, I applaud you for being here to even talk about this because it has only been 1 year. And I know you mentioned to me before that your wife is, you know, particularly struggling, incredibly, having a difficult time.
Yes.
You know, what does her day look like now, and what would you recommend for people out there who have experienced something like this? How would you recommend for them to get through it day by day?
Well, I think strong faith, number one, because start the day in prayer and end the day in prayer. And you have to talk to people that they really care about you. So when you're around I don't care what your religion is, but you have a temple or church that you are part of, and those people are there to care for you and help you get through things. And that, you have to have a foundation that's outside of you. You cannot fix things. It's impossible. So you have to have people with faith that are giving you the support and the encouragement in a loving way. As you go to a psychiatrist or psychologist, it's all practical. But then I'm telling you about having strong faith beyond the comprehension. That's what gets through, is the powerful, strong faith.
Strong faith, having support,
Support.
so important. Did you ever call someone when did you have an idea, the latter part of his life, days before, a week before, did you have any indication that he was thinking
No, on the
about taking his
contrary.
life?
He seemed so calm. We talked to him like normal. He was doing a little drinking,
Right,
but it wasn't that you knew he was drunk.
right.
So it was not at all at his worst. So he had some peace in him, and I guess he already had made a decision, and he was okay with it. He had peace. So we could not tell. Could not tell.
Wow. You know, we can talk about this all day, but I'm not a counselor. I am the host of our Aging Puzzle, sitting here with my guest, Otero, talking about his story of his son, David, who experienced mental illness from middle school. David sadly ended his life about a year ago in 2022.
Mhm.
And left his family behind, who are struggling with dealing with this and in so much pain. And Al said that he is sharing his story to help someone out there, to help a family. Somebody out there is going through what Al's family has gone through, what David has gone through. Any words of wisdom for someone who is thinking about suicide like David did? Any words of wisdom to help someone out there, Al?
The best thing I can tell anybody that's thinking about taking their life is that there is always hope. There is always hope, no matter how low until you're dead, you're dead. But before that, there are millions of things and ways and people that can help you get you out of one situation and put you back on track. But if you don't look for that help, you can't stop it. So you have to have a conscious decision. You listen to your parents, because they know what is best for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have parents, you have friends, you have loved ones. Someone cares about you. As Al mentioned, there's hope. Unfortunately, David ended his life, but Al is here today. And Al and I work very, very closely together. Al actually works for the Global Trade Chamber that is producing this show. When Al told me his story, I said, I want to hear this story and I want to share it with our audience. It is important. Help us out there and hope. 988 is where you should call if you have any symptoms or experiencing mental illness or know a family member or friend. Call 988 or go online to lifeline.org for help, because you are not alone. You do have support, and we don't want to leave your family, friends, and loved ones behind, because the pain that they are experiencing is unimaginable, and this is just really
Devastating.
devastating.
Yes.
Thank you, Al. I
Thank you so
appreciate
much
you.
for doing
I
this.
appreciate you.
I appreciate you doing this because you're helping. You're helping people. That's what we're here to do. We
Absolutely.
need to help people. Everything that happens to us is to take it and help somebody else.
Absolutely. 988, or visit their website at lifeline.org. Our guest, Al Otero, shared his story of his son, David, who experienced mental illness. And it was a tragic, tragic ending. We don't want this to happen to anyone else. Please get help. Thank you. Wow, that's all I can say. Devastation of what happened to David. We are here shedding light on mental illness. We don't want you to lose hope. Al shared how his son David took his own life. Please, we are here. You have friends and family who care about you. Get help. Now let's talk about things you can do to live longer and live better. We talked about these things for the last 3 weeks. Remember, proper diet, regular exercise. Gotta get your exercise, guys. It will help boost your mood and improve your health. Reduce stress. Explore relaxation and wellness programs in your daily activities. Because stress will help release endorphins, or stress will cause you to be uptight and will cause issues that will impact your mental illness. And last, remember socialization. We want you to have good relationships with your friends and your family members. We want you to have a strong emotional support and system out there for you. We want you to have healthy mental health. As you can tell, I'm a little shaken up from Al's story because it was so impactful. So impactful. We are doing this because we want to help someone out there. There's help. Remember to learn more about mental illness. Visit the National Alliance on Mental Illness at NAMI.org. And to learn more, you can go and visit 988lifeline.org for more information. And if you want to pick up the phone and speak to someone, call 988. We invite you to watch our aging puzzle every Friday at 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel at Our Aging Puzzle. And remember, mental health is important. You are not alone. There are millions of people out there that are experiencing mental illness. Our show is filmed in South Florida, and we want to take a moment to mention the horrific tragedy that occurred in our local community on February 14, 2018 in Parkland at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. This tragedy was done by an individual with mental illness. Our condolences, our love, our support continues to go out to the members of the Parkland community, my community, our community, and to anyone that's been impacted by this tragedy. Shortly after this tragedy, a nonprofit organization was formed in Parkland to connect and offer support to MSD students, teachers, and staff, and to the greater community with mental health, counseling, and therapy to help them recover from this tragedy in Parkland. This organization is called Parkland Cares. Since its inception, Parkland Cares has awarded over $1.1 million in grants to local nonprofits in South Florida. Parkland Cares will continue to work towards breaking the stigma surrounding mental issues and helping those who suffer from the effects of trauma. For help in Broward County, call or text 211 or check out parklandcares.org. Or remember, you can always call 988 for help. If you are experiencing mental illness, help is available. Take the next step to get help. This is such an impactful subject and is so important that next month in August, I'm going to bring in another guest to talk about mental illness, and I will bring in a licensed clinical psychotherapist to share information with you on how to get help and things that you can do if you are experiencing mental issues or if you know someone out there who is experiencing mental issues. Remember, you are not alone. Help us out there. And remember, as Al said, there's always hope. As long as you are here, there's hope. Hope to get the help that you need to manage mental illness. Again, thank you to my guest for the month, Al Otero, Al Otero shared his impactful story, heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, tear-jerking story with us about his son David, who experienced mental illness and took his own life. Please remember, don't do it. Call 988. Call 988. And for the month of August, visit us, check us out, because we are going to carry this topic further into our next month and bring with us a licensed clinical psychotherapist. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. Voila!
I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from Shark Tank. DG Incorporated provides coaching services to help entrepreneurs open and grow assisted living facilities and build economic wealth. Visit their website to learn more.